Hello.
Hi there.
Welcome back. I have to tell you that the video of your presentation last year at the Phocuswright conference got the most views of any of the conference videos on the YouTube channel. So the bar is set.
That's wild.
Don't let us down. We're going to be talking about the Hopper app and Hopper Cloud. I think maybe I've seen some signage around the facility.
Very discreet.
Very discreet, yeah, subtle. Subtle is the word. I would also just say to the audience, particularly anybody who has not heard Fred speak before, he uses a lot of numbers. So get ready for that. The great thing is we will once again have the video on Focuswire. So if you miss anything, you can sit there and watch and rewind and, take all your notes. I wondered if we could maybe start with kind of a quick rapid-fire SWOT analysis. So just a word or a couple words when I say to you, strength.
When you say what?
Strength for Hopper. What is a strength?
Our strength is our customer obsession and our product cadence. We build cool stuff for customers.
Okay. Weakness.
We are not profitable, as Steve pointed out, but we're getting there.
Yeah, okay. We will talk about that. Opportunities.
The world, all of it. Everywhere, all at once.
Okay. Threats.
Interesting. Ourselves.
Oh.
Yeah, we think we're probably our biggest threat. It's all about execution. We get it wrong, somebody else is going to take it.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's an insightful answer. I do have to mention, so as you referenced, Steve gave you a 6 on a.
I got a 6. FinTech got 5. We got a 6.
Right.
And I think 2 or 3 years ago we were rodent or roadkill. So I'm gonna take that gap.
Okay. So I just have to ask, what if you had to rate Kayak on a 1 to 10?
Kayak's amazing because they were the first.
Yeah.
For body of work, everything Steve and Paul built, they get a 10. Just because they were the first to do it, the internet barely worked, price comparison didn't work. They were the first to load results dynamically, so you could get, they get a 10. They opened up the category.
Okay, interesting. So you have talked about how Hopper is the 3rd largest flight booker in the US. You've said you are marching toward being the number 3 OTA in nearly every market. I assume that's not including C-Trip. But what will it take to surpass Expedia and Booking?
Social commerce. It comes down to the world as it has existed for 1994 when Travelocity sold the first ticket. Is you were a transaction company, people put dates and stuff and destinations, you show prices. When that first came out, you could compare the prices of airlines without talking to a travel agent, right? That's what started the category. It was amazing. And then nothing changed for 30 years, right? It's the only thing you can still do. Social commerce is totally different. You don't spend money on Google. You don't even spend money on Facebook or TikTok. It is a complete fusion of what social media does and the transaction into one company, one experience. Video is eating the world. Nobody reads anything anymore, good or bad. We're headed towards that. We're all going to just stare at our phones and swap TikTok videos all day. And that is, I think we are 2 to 3 years for a profound transformation of everything, all commerce everywhere.
Okay, so that social commerce piece, I actually wasn't going to jump quite to that, but if we want to get into that right now, we can pull up the slides that you have. I think
this is our version. I always do this. I'm going to do it again. So I'm obsessed with Pinduoduo, which is, right? So raise your hand if you know what that is. Okay, let the record show there's maybe 10 hands. Raise your hand if you've ever bought anything on it. And there's 4 or 5, right? So Pinduoduo is the 2nd largest e-com company in China. It's one of the biggest companies in the world, and they grew to tens of billions of dollars of revenue without ever advertising. Their CAC was 0. They basically pioneered social commerce. Now there's tons of companies doing it, and it's sometimes confused with a super app, but what we have up here right now is what we do. And first you have to be an app that has a lot of things and a lot of buttons, but fundamentally what it is you say, well, instead of giving $40, $50 to acquire a customer to Mark Zuckerberg, I'm going to give it to my customer. But I'm not going to give it. I'm going to make them play a game. I'm going to make them scratch, something. I'm going to make them check in all day. I'm going to make them do a mission list. And so Duolingo in the West is one of the few companies that does this.
And this is all live in the app right now?
Yes, all of this is, and there's some variants, but it's roughly that. And so we were spending, we're on track to spend $200 million in advertising. We were TikTok's largest advertiser, in 2019, and this year we're almost at zero. So we're literally giving all that money to our customers right now.
So I'm curious, I mean, this looks great, and it looks like it's probably a lot of fun, but of course, Hopper is not out to be the next great game, right? So what are you seeing here as far as conversion? I mean, what is this doing for you?
So it's all these various things, right? Like when we do a sale, or something like that, or a summer raffle, we usually see our tickets and room nights, they will go up anywhere between 3 and 10x in one day. And there's not as much cannibalization of displacing bookings as you would think. Fundamentally, we're finding digital products. So we did this crazy thing where we made a digital piñata, and you would buy it anywhere between $5 and $14. There's bigger piñatas, and when you bought it, the bunny would come and beat it, and stuff would fall, and so you would get some carrot cash, some vouchers. We sold more piñatas that day than flights, and we sell a lot of flights. So people are actually putting money into the Hopper app for virtual products now, and this is not a few $1,000s, like it's real money. I mean, we can try it, like watch, this is a great example of it. So take your phone out, scan that code, and I will give you $40. Like, I swear, you're going to get $40 straight up in the Hopper app. If you go and share that
interactive session here.
Yes. You go share that code, you will earn up to $2,000 of credit. So take that, turn it into a Snapchat story, post it on TikTok if you have followers. We will pay you right now up to $2,000. You can earn your next trip for free. Done. So let the record show about 100 people just went and did that.
Yeah.
So it's not about the game. It's way better to let your customers earn into the app for 2 reasons. One is you're making travel more affordable, right? And second, it's called mounting loss. So you come in and you do that, and now I have basically created anywhere between $40 and $2,000 of credit in the app for you. You've invited some friends, and you know what you're not going to do is go book on Kayak, right? So I basically got all you guys to be my customers, whether you know it or not. And so there's a magic in that.
Okay, so we came to all of this back to the question of what will it take to surpass Expedia and Booking. So you really believe that this type of engagement with consumers can drive enough business for you?
So I think there's 2 parts. One is generational. So I mean, we're known to being, the millennial and Gen Z app, and that's very true. Like 70% of our customers in that age group. So one argument is all I have to do is wait, and eventually, we'll be dead, and Hopper will have all the customers. But fundamentally, what we're seeing, more broadly than travel, is you have brands like TikTok, for all intents and purposes, came out of nowhere, right? And they're by far the #1, most engaged, largest, social network on the planet, because they said, well, it's not about friends, it's not about connecting, it's about watching algorithmic videos. And they're forcing all the other guys from YouTube to Facebook to copy their model. You have Shein, which is a fast fashion company. They just basically overtook H&M within 4 years, right? And sure, they have access to cheap supply, but so does everybody else. They did it through social commerce. So that every possible version of using influencers, using basically affiliates, doing what I just did, where I tricked all you guys into downloading my app. And so that engine has been proven in Asia since 2015. It's not a future tense thing. It's already happened. It's just that out here in the West, we're like cavemen. We just haven't figured this out yet.
There is some question as to whether it can translate in the West, though, right? But you have full optimism that it'll...
Pinduoduo just launched Temu. They're the #2 app. Shein is the #1 fashion app in the United States and in Canada, and it's going to happen in Mexico. So no, that's not a proof point. That was 2 years ago. We were busy with this pandemic thing, but it's already happened.
Okay. Fair enough. So, speaking of some international influence there, so I know you've said 20% of your business is international, and you have some news today about a new cloud customer coming on board, Neki, out of Colombia. So what's happening in the international efforts, and how do you continue to grow that?
So on the app side, about 20% of everything we sell is coming from outside of North America. So Latin America, Europe, APAC is starting to function. We had this really wild couple of months where we within a week became the largest travel app in Spain, Italy, and Colombia, actually, just through a couple of these social commerce programs. Then they kind of imploded and shark finned, and now they're starting to work again. One thing about this is not for the faint of heart, because you're giving unlimited amounts of money away virally, right? So you can get into a lot of trouble really quickly with this. So luckily, we're at a scale where we can start to do this. So I suspect that within about 2 years, 50% of our business will be outside of North America.
Wow.
So for scale, we were 2% outside of North America, like, pre-pandemic,
Right.
during the pandemic,
Right.
with special circumstances. The cloud is different. We have a whole lineup of unbelievable deals coming, like things that if you had told me we were going to sign these 2 years ago, I would have called you crazy. Neki's a great example. They're a neobank. They're the largest neobank in Colombia. They're the first one. They have
They're
about
going to be doing flights, is that
Yes,
right?
and so we're powering flights. But of course, the reason that they chose us is because of the fintech that
Right.
creates this incredible stack there. And so what we did with Capital One, what we're doing
Yeah.
with other partners is just going to replicate internationally.
So you've said that cloud is on track to make more than all of Hopper did last year. Can you put some figures to that, just for context?
No, but it's hundreds of millions. We don't give out revenue, and so you're looking at cloud being about 40% of our total revenue, and we do about $5 billion top line, so you can kind of work your way into what you think are our margins and all that kind of stuff. But what is surprising is the sheer velocity of that. And what we're realizing is that there's an immense opportunity working with suppliers, what we call suppliers on this stage. So, the airlines and the hotels, there's just basically an infinite amount of companies that want to unlock new customer spend as ancillaries, right? Which
Right.
is roughly what cloud is providing if you've watched any of our signs.
Yeah.
And so, you're basically going around saying, do you want this giant bag of free money? Right? So it's not that hard to sell. And the thesis is starting to come through this year.
I understand, of course, the fintech has been really attractive when travel has been in kind of a state of chaos for the last couple of years. Does it become less so if things become less chaotic?
Some things do. So like disruption protection, the thing where we refund your flight or you can get onto any flight for free,
Right.
Has been huge. The one that's really worked well since we spoke is leave for any reason. You show up at the hotel at any time during your stay, you decide you don't want to go there, you can go to any other 4-star for free. We pay for it. So those have disruption appeal if the staffing is short. But, people have been using price freeze quite a bit going into the holiday seasons because we're seeing, record prices going in. And so this is not it's not a flash in the pan. It's not a single one-hit wonder, kind of 80s band thing. There's a fundamental appeal, and we've talked about this before. But what it is when you go to a marketplace or a booking site or whatever where fintech is fully staffed, you have all our products. Customers spend between 12 and 15% more.
Right,
So
right.
the thought experiment around that is there is somewhere between 200 and 400 billion dollars of unrealized fintech spend for the taking. Just put the products there and people will buy it.
Okay, so speaking of money, let's talk about that point that you said that you're not profitable. What does it take to get there?
We just have to wait. So our US businesses and cloud businesses are basically at break even. We're pouring large amounts of money into international expansion because we think that's important. We're putting large amounts of money in building our direct hotel supply, building up our homes inventory. And so there's just a point where, because we've been raising a lot of money, we have incredible partners within Capital One and our investors. You just don't sit on, $500 million of cash and do nothing. You have to put it to work. Now, the funding environment has changed.
Right.
And a lot of what we've been doing is we've been transferring our paid spend, the money I would give to Mark Zuckerberg, and giving it to the people in this room like I just did. And what that is doing is creating a growth loop that is better, but it's ending up costing us a lot less.
Okay.
And Hopper's bet has always been that an app was stickier, and if I got you to transact with me on one product, within a year or two, I would start to generate money. And this is how companies get in trouble, right? They do long paybacks. What's happened to us is those have shortened, we're actually making money, and our cohorts are sticking around with us and they're buying. The only problem is it's a giant category and we compete against formidable companies. Expedia, Booking, and Airbnb are unbelievable companies. They have scale and they make money. They're profitable.
Right.
So we have to close that gap, and that's just getting bigger, building better products, getting more supply.
You know, so it's interesting when I hear you say it. You said it's just going to take time. You are a really patient person, clearly, by the way you have built this company. So, launched 15 years ago, I believe, but the app didn't come out till about 7 or 8 years after that. I have to admit, on the one hand, as I talk to you and I've gotten to know you, you don't strike me as super patient. But,
I'm not.
But clearly, from this path, you know, and I just wonder, what have you learned through that? And maybe what might you want to tell others about the value of the patience?
So when we started, we thought we were a technology company, and then we became a customer-obsessed company, right? And you can be a technology company if you have the best algorithm in the world to, you know, find content on the web, or you're making a microchip that nobody can make. But if you're selling, travel is essentially a commodity. No particular product is that, but you can buy travel in multiple places, the same way you can buy AA batteries. So you have to understand that your #1 asset is understanding what your customer wants. And so it took us too long to become a customer-obsessed company. We could have shortened that period.
Okay.
We sold our first ticket in 2015. You know, so
Yep.
it took us a long time to build up the data, which is kind of legitimate, but we could have gotten a lot bigger, a lot faster if we had started queuing in to customer needs at a deeper level, like we're doing now.
Okay.
And so to me, it's all about how quickly you realize that you don't matter, your investors don't matter, your company doesn't matter. What your customer needs or wants, whether they know it or not, is the only truth that matters.
Okay. And as we're getting close on time here, I do have to ask you about the sustainability question. I know that's something you're passionate about. You do have the Hopper Trees effort. I'm just wondering your thoughts on what more can both Hopper as well as the broader industry do to incentivize some of that behavior?
So unfortunately, there's been a lot of greenwashing around ESG and all that kind of stuff. And it's a complicated topic, but like, here's what it comes down to. At Hopper, we took a decision in 2018 that we will offset all of the CO2 emissions of our customers. If you've ever booked with us, you maybe not even know we're doing this, for every hotel, every plane, everything we do. And the only way to do this now, which is a problem, is to plant trees. You got to plant them in the right place. You got to plant them in a way that is sustainable. You got to pick the right partners. You got to do the math right. So we've actually planted, I think it's 13 million. We have commitments where we've already paid out for 25 million. And here's what I'm doing everywhere is I am basically challenging all the CEOs of the other companies, the Bookings, the Expedia, the Airbnbs, we can do this now. Start offsetting all of the CO2 of your customers right now off your P&L. Full stop. Nothing else. Full stop. Because this is an emergency, and we have to stop screwing around and get it done. I will tell you how to do it. I'll even do it for you for free right now. Come and see me.
Okay. Wow. Well, real quick, we're out of time. Titan or Trailblazer, Hopper?
Why not both?
They're not mutually exclusive, no?
Both.
Okay, fair enough. Fred Lalonde from Hopper. All right, thank you.
Introducing the era of the NF ticket. As the natural evolution of e-tickets, NF tickets run on blockchain technology.
Imagine travelers being able to resell and transfer their tickets to someone else instantly, decentralizing ticket distribution in just one click.
Imagine travelers being able to buy a ticket, change their minds, and then give it as a present to their grandma, their little brother, or even this guy. Again, with just one click.